Welcome into the I-80 Boys College Football Show. We've got the Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin-led, trolling, running Rebels, Chris. How many wins, how many losses?
I'm going to give it to you straight. I got them at 9-3, Christian, and don't be copying me this time. Look, here's the losses, though. This is who I have, and this is the worst schedule in the world by any means this year. It's really not. I'm not saying any SEC schedule is easy, but this is definitely one of the more favorable ones. I have losses at UGA. I just think Georgia owns them. I have to see it to believe it out of Ole Miss. I have at Oklahoma, and may shock some people, and I have a game right after that at South Carolina. Christian, tell me why I'm right.
Well, I also have them going 9-3, but we're gonna disagree here. I got losses to LSU, Georgia, and Oklahoma. So, yeah, I think that LSU game, yeah, it's at home, but just I don't think Ole Miss, with what they lost from last year, is going to be able to beat LSU, because LSU brings back a pretty good chunk of that team, and they should be one of the better teams in the country this year, Chris. Look, Lane Kiffin, other than the first season at Ole Miss, has won 8+ games every year he's been there. And so I have a feeling that even though they lose a lot, they're still going to be really good coming off that 10-3 stretch they had last year. Chris, I want to ask an important question here. What's the most important game?
I think you touched on it. I do think the LSU game will be a big game. I mean, if you remember the history between these two the last several years, it's been a high-scoring, down-to-the-wire type of games. I mean, they've been really good. I do think Ole Miss needs this one. I'm with you. I'm very high on LSU as well. That was actually one of the losses, one of the very few losses I picked for LSU was to Ole Miss. Now, I could be wrong on that, absolutely, and you could be right. But I'm with you. I like that LSU game. That'll be kind of a test to see where, who's who in the SEC right away, especially with these two teams.
Yeah, and I picked Georgia. Obviously, I think it's a pretty obvious reason why. Can Lane Kiffin go on the road, beat Georgia again after beating them at home last year? If they drop that game to LSU, this game becomes even more important, I think, for playoff implications.
Yeah, and I do want to add, I did start off the show saying that Ole Miss couldn't beat Georgia. You're right, they did beat them last year. Brain fart on my end on that one, but I'm with you. That is another big game too, right? Every year it seems like when these two match up, they're both rated inside the top 7. It seems like every single time. I think Georgia does have the edge on Ole Miss since Lane Kiffin's been there, but last year they did go in, they did play a really good game and gave Georgia one of their losses. So,
absolutely. Let's talk about some of the key losses they had last year. We're going to rattle them off real quick. Quarterback Jackson Dart, running back Henry Parrish, defensive tackle Walter Nolan, wide receivers Trey Harris, Jordan Watkins, and Antoine Wells Jr., linebacker Chris Paul Jr., cornerback Trey Amos, safety Trey Washington, linebacker Princely Umalamalian, I think I'm saying that right, probably wrong. Edge Jared Ivey, defensive tackle JJ Pegues, and safety John Saunders. Some of their key additions from last year, Chris: wide receiver Deshaun Stribling, Oklahoma State transfer, had almost 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. Wide receiver Harrison Wallace III, Penn State transfer, should be really good, had 700 yards and 4 touchdowns. They do bring in running back Damian Taylor, who at Troy last year had over 1,000 yards and 8 total touchdowns. Linebacker Jaden Yates had 120 tackles last year at Marshall. Their entire projected starting secondary is primarily going to be made up of transfers, but to me, the most notable players are ULM transfer safety Wyatt Williams, LSU transfer Sage Ryan, and Washington State transfer Nickel Kapina Gushkin. Chris, I know that was a lot right there. They lost pretty much all their defense from last year. So, and that was always been the question. I know that we talk about when we touch on Ole Miss, is the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. This is another team that I had a really hard time predicting, right? Just because of the turnover alone. They were number 2 in scoring defense last year. Ole Miss was. I know that's going to shock some people, but their defense was really, really good. Yeah, they had 52 sacks last year. That's a ton. It's going to be tough to duplicate that. I'm not saying, because Lane Kiffin, we know, recruits better than damn near everybody in the country. He might be the top recruiter in the country. That guy is amazing at recruiting. But I'm with you. I'm with you on that one, Christian. I am.
some of their top returning players. They bring back Austin Simmons. Played in a few games last year, but this young man could be one of the best quarterbacks to come through Ole Miss. They had some good ones with Matt Corral, and then you look at what they did with Jackson Dart the last few years. They've been on a tear when it comes to quarterbacks. At the running back position, they bring back Logan Diggs. He only had one carry last year, averaging 15 yards, I might add, but should help shoulder the load of those carries in that backfield. Receiver options, they bring back Caden Lee and tight end Daquan Wright. Both of them combined for 6 touchdowns, and Caden Lee had 57 catches for 800 yards last year. On the defensive side of the ball, they're going to bring back TJ Daugherty at the linebacker spot. He had 76 tackles and 2 sacks. Linebacker Suntarine Perkins had 10.5 sacks last year and 60 total tackles. So that's good. They bring him back. And lastly, defensive tackle Xavier Harris with 31 total tackles. Chris, any other thoughts here before we kind of get wrap this up with Ole Miss?
Not really. Again, like I said, man, just hard to predict. I mean, it's hard to come out there and say because we just don't know what they're going to be this year. A majority of teams at least have a majority of their starters coming back. This team does not. So one thing I know about Lane Kiffin, though, like I said, he'll do a good job. I do believe he's one of the better coaches in the SEC. We have them both go. I mean, 9-3. That'd be another good year for Lane Kiffin, especially in the SEC. My biggest question is defensively, honestly. I just touched on it. I think the loss of Trey Amos, that guy was all over the place last year. He was a stud. It's going to be tough to top, especially in their secondary. So I don't really have much more to add. You did a good job breaking it down. I mean, it was a long list of players they lost. A lot of, they did hit the portal, obviously. But, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Any last thoughts on your end, Christian, for the Ole Miss Rebs?
Yeah, I mean, the questions I have here, how good can Austin Simmons in this offense be? That's going to be a big question. We know he's talented. Can they pick up where they left off last year with him? Played really well, I thought, in that game against Georgia. And so, the kid can shine. The second question, and you touched on it, Chris, defensively. I feel like they lost a generational defense over there because they did rank 14th in total defense last year. Can they keep that up with Pete Golding and this Ole Miss team here? Lastly, and this is the biggest question if you're an Ole Miss fan that you have to be thinking right now, can Lane Kiffin get you to the playoffs?